frogs, other than just Psychic Frog? Yeah. Yeah, why not? Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another modern video for a change. And today we're going to be playing with Joby's Frog Control deck list. And I want to start by complimenting Joby. They were really receptive to feedback. So they originally sent me this deck list. And the general idea was to build around Glarb Calamity's Augur. For bug mana, you get a 2/4 Death Toucher. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library, and you can tap it to Surveil 2. So Joby's original idea was, hey, I'm just going to play a bunch of cards off the top of my library with Glarb and get a bunch of card advantage just through casting spells off of the top of my library. But the problem with the original build was it's trying to rely on frogs. It is trying to have a frog sub-theme while also being this Glarb deck list. And when I started doing some research to improve this deck list, I obviously was going to start with Standard, because surely there's a frog deck in Standard, right? Okay, let's find the frog deck. The frog deck, uh-oh. And in doing my research for tuning this deck list, because I don't know a ton about frogs or modern, quite frankly, I quickly realized that frogs were not powerful enough to be a standard supported archetype, which was going to give us trouble in improving this deck list for modern. So I sent an email back. I'm like, Joby, what are we going to do here? I don't think the frogs are good. And they sent back a much better deck list, one that I've refined slightly, but I'm mostly playing what they sent in. So here's what we're cooking with. We're going to keep the two best frogs. Psychic Frog, vintage playable, legacy playable, great card. Glarb, a little cute, a little questionable, but it's our build around for today, and it hopefully will give us enough value throughout this league that it doesn't look embarrassing. So the deck is seeking to get out of the early game using pitch spells like Force of Negation and Subtlety as a starting point, and then some spells that cost 4 mana, but might in some capacity have their cost reduced, either by you sacrificing something like an Orcish Bowmasters that doesn't do something, or targeting a creature spell. And the deck list was built with a bunch of these split cards that Glarb can cast off the top of the library. I've gone down on them to add in some more mana efficient cards. I think we needed more to get out of the early turns of the game. So I added Fatal Push to the main deck, as well as Consign to Memory in the sideboard. I don't really think Force of Vigor is good in this deck list. Our green count is Glarb, so we're not going to be pitch casting this. We're just playing this as a full value 4 mana nuke 2 things, maybe play it for free. I don't really think that's good enough, but if I keep cutting all the 4-drops for more efficient cards, then I'm just going to end up building this deck that just happens to have Glarb in it so that we can cast Murktide Regents off the top of our library. This is fully what I would end up doing if I were to continue just making the deck more and more and more efficient. So yeah, let's see how competitive our frogs actually are. I think this is much better than what was originally submitted, and now the question is, like, can we actually steal some games off of people with Glarb? We've got an uphill battle today, but hopefully we can get there a few times. Folks, if you need some Magic cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Tales of Adventure is known for their high-end, like, legacy, vintage, old-school things, but if you need standard legal things like frogs, they tend to have 90-95% of standard legal cards in stock at any given time. Promo code ThrabenU will save you a little bit on your order, and let's go frog some people. All right. We are going to try a modern friendly league today. I've never played a friendly league, but I think that's probably where the power level of our deck is at. So I cannot cast Psychic Frog here on turn 2. I have 2 lands of single colors. So I don't think this is going to get me out of the early game here, whereas this one will. We will keep this and I think pitch a Flare of Malice. Our opponent has revealed a Gigantha Companion, but made no initial move. Love that. Do I need land 3? What's my land count here? 20-something? 22? I'll probably keep that. And I'm guessing red-white Surveil land? No. Grixis Triome. Alright, well, all the colors. So we're playing against a domain deck of some kind. We should be expecting things like Territorial Kavu, Leyline Binding, what is it? Tribal Flames, maybe? So, fetch. Don't have green yet. And I probably need blue. Blue? Yeah. You trample. You don't trample. So I have approximately infinity chump blocks on that thing. So if I'm willing to go all in on the frog, I can block this. But I get blown the fuck out by literally any removal spell. So I don't think I can actually realistically do that. I think we are treating Psychic Frog as a source of card advantage. And then we'll remove this creature with Away in a minute. That's gonna cost me some very precious life, though. Yeah. Surely this is a trap. Surely this is a trap. Alright. Let's just go ahead and take this creature off board. I don't have black yet, but I don't think I am taking additional damage here. Do I ever need green? I never need green. We'll just grab an island. Away. We're in a lag burst. There we go. So I think a problem here is that we're just going to be permanently behind on tempo. So I answer a creature, my opponent deploys a new one, then I'm not really in a place to use out of air to take the next one out, which is pretty unfortunate. This probably needs to be ETB tapped land, and we'll do a Bowmaster chump block on the Territorial Kavu in the short term. If my opponent has a Surveil land or anything. Nope, just mana fixing. So it's going to swing in. When does this happen? Okay, it is an exile. Sure, that's fine. So yeah, ping you. I'll make my chump blocker. My opponent still has 4 cards though, so like something else is going to come and I have to decide whether or not I want to subtlety it. Yes. Fortunately, yes I do. So my opponent will presumably put that on top of deck, and we'll have to deal with it again next turn. Even at this point, if I draw something, yikes, like a Glarb, I don't know that I have time to have it get set up and get going before I just get killed by these. If I had not played this as a land, I could have pitched that to Solitude and then countered this here. But I have so many 4-drops in my deck, and my life total is very low. The cost of having to shock this in later is pretty rough. So they're going to take a card out of my graveyard. I'm going to play a Bowmaster. I'll ping you. Lose that card. Chump block. But now I'm just facing down a pair of 5/5 creatures, and I don't have larger things that I can play, like Murktide Regents, that are just going to wall these. I think this is the point where we scoop that up. Cut down his total power and toughness, 5 or less. That's not going to work here. So Shoot the Sheriff is fine. The rest of the sideboard's not particularly relevant. Force of Negation does not seem strong. So earlier on in the match, if I presume that my opponent had the Lightning Bolt earlier, if I go for the block on... Sorry, if I go for going all in on Psychic Frog, I get Tribal Flames and I get Tribal Flames and Lightning Bolt for like 6 cards. That's rough. This is a single land. This is not going to do it with 3/4 drops in hand. This is 2 lands. I don't have blue for out of air. Force of Negation is a weak card. Fatal Push is fine. I think this is worse than a Psychic Frog hand, which we do not find. I have a turn 2 counterspell. Get rid of one of these. I think I'm just keeping land. I'm going to get rid of this. The life loss here is pretty high between True Shock lands and the MDFC Bolt lands. All right, there's Xander's Lounge again. 3 of 5 for Domain already. So hopefully we play Out of Air, counter something like a Territorial Kabu this turn, and then play Glarb the next turn. Sure. All right, so there's Domain, Scion of Draco. So black, blue, green. This can be basic island. Yeah. And yeah, counter that. So Boseiju, green, black, blue, or Glarben. Got a forest. I will probably surveil that away in my upkeep. Tribal Flames. What if not, though? Let's set an upkeep stop. So surveil, no, and no. All right, so there's a Fell the Profane on top, which probably means that I take 3 awkwardly here. That's really weird. So my opponent can kind of time walk me if they just don't play a creature and get a free bolt, for that matter. Yeah. Do I want to Fell the Profane my own creature? Yeah, I need a new source of card advantage, or I will just lose here. Flare of Malice not doing it. So we were starting to do the thing, but we're very, very reliant on Psychic Frog and Glarb to have a functional deck. So if we don't have one of those, we're going to run out of resources very, very quickly. Yeah. Oh, this is not a target. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest mana value. Okay, got it. So get out. Not having any of that. Psychic Frog, please. Negative. We can surveil land our way to victory. Ignore the 5 cards and the companion that my opponent has. Yes. So, let's find a source of card advantage. Nope. We'll take out a creature, but we are very reliant on 1 of 8 cards, and we don't have a lot of manipulation. You know, there's no Ponders, no Brainstorms here, or whatever the modern equivalents are that you're legally allowed to play. You preordain here. Lage, yeah. No Uros either in our deck. Yeah, so we're drawing 1-for-1 removal, but like we are at 12. It's reached turn 8. We are the control deck. We do not have control of the game. Not a positive situation. Okay. So we can fire off another removal spell on this, but I only have 8 relevant draws in my deck. 7. One of the Glarbs is already gone. Yeah, my opponent asked. I have to ask, what is your deck's plan? Yep. After a little banter with the opponent, we're going to take 2 from an Orcish Bowmaster. That's another Flage. So there's 2 of those just chilling in the graveyard. So 2 Flage triggers from graveyard alone will certainly kill me. Okay, there is a new Glarb. Glarb is a 2/4. Can play this land. Not pay the 2 life. Okay. There's a Psychic Frog. No. No. If I shock in that land, I can counter this and then die. All right, that'll do. We're not winning from there. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists, and they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out. Okay, so we have surveil land on 1 into out of air, hopefully counter a creature on 2 into Glarb on 3. This is not bad. So some portion of the time I fetch basic island next turn. Oh, both my surveil lands are blue, so that's kind of whatever. Okay, let's say no to that. I do not know what Bloodstained Mire is indicative of in this format at this time. I don't want more land, though. I am confident of that much. Green-black. Okay. So, I could be expecting Bowmasters. Malevolent Rumble. Reveal top 4, put a permanent into your hand. Rest in the graveyard. make a Scion. So that doesn't get countered by Out of Error. Underworld Cookbook, Finale of Devastation. Alright, that also doesn't get countered by Out of Error. So my opponent is up to no good with their graveyard. Unsure exactly what that means for me. I don't need more 4-drops here. Love that. Let's be mana efficient and get Glarb into play here. I think if I shock in one more land, I never need to shock again. Force of Negation on top. I probably don't want that, question mark. Alright. It is food person. Not too surprised about that. Sure. Well, that's happening. This 5 damage, 6 damage. So there's another Underworld Cookbook. They nuke my creature. I now don't get to surveil the card that I don't want off the top. Urza Saga is a disaster. So I can use this turn getting rid of this card so that I can try to create a giant Psychic Frog that wins later. I think I'm going to take 3 to maybe hold up a counter spell. I know, my opponent's not going to cast anything. They're just going to activate Urza Saga for value. What am I talking about? Alright. I'll get a basic here. We'll fell the Profane on this one. We're going to use the targeted removal. I believe this and the construct tokens have the same overall mana value. So I can cast a Psychic Frog while kind of having other spells available. But it's just kind of. There's a construct token. I have no idea what the modern Urza's Saga toolbox package looks like, so I don't know if I should be going all in on Psychic Frog here immediately. I think no. Boots. I could sacrifice Psychic Frog to make my opponent lose one of these. That's awful. I might have to do it. Otherwise, I just take 11 here. This is a 5/5. I guess this one can't attack. Oh, fuck. Underworld Cookbook makes these bigger. Damn it. Yeah, okay. Hate that. So I'm still taking 5-ish damage. And then I get, I'm just in the exact same situation. So my opponent has 4 cards. They can create 4 artifacts, swing 4 lethal. I have to chump block with Psychic Frog. I end up back in the same spot. I think we're buried by Urza's Saga here. We'll play Force of Vigor here for things like Urza Saga. We'll play some more early targeted removal. I don't think I want Consign to Memory. I think Cut Down's okay. Force of Negation seems weak. And we're planning on removing things once they are in play rather than countering them for the most part. Okay. So we have early removal spell into Source of Card Advantage. Let's surveil. Do not want land. Pass turn. So, we cooking? Well, GG. Losing the Glarb here is just devastating. I have a Surveil land that can attempt to look for another Glarb or Psychic Frog, but the deck fully just does not operate without one of those two functioning. And we might just get run over. Insidious Roots. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard. Okay, I don't care about that yet, but if like an Agatha's Soul Cauldron comes down, I probably start caring about that, and I have to Boseiju it. Alright, so we've got a Hedge Maze here. Yes. Slightly awkwardly. I think I need to leave open Fatal Push for tempo reasons. Like, I want to be able to Fatal Push whatever my opponent plays out this turn, and then be able to Boseiju and or Far Away the following turn. This is more threatening than Insidious Roots. Fuck. Sure. One can either get a land or an Asmore. They get the Asmore. Okay, I'm not pushing that. Yeah, so I can play Glarb, but then my opponent starts getting Urza Saga Construct tokens, which I do not believe is acceptable. I want to get some surveilling. I'll play Watery Grave. And we've dealt with the Urza Saga problem. Insidious Roots is not bad yet. Oh, what is this? Enters or attacks, mill 4. Then you may return a non-avatar creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Now, I've seen that floating around some legacy lists. Okay, so they get Bowmasters, which triggers Insidious Roots. Okay. And then Impending, 5-time counters. Alright, so we have a little while before this thing is a problem. I don't think I'm fatal pushing here. So remove a counter. Glarb. Alright, more other Glarb is coming. Alright, so you are an enchantment chilling in play. So I could at some point R that if I needed to. Oh. Oh. Opponent did not have a thing leave play. They could have sacked an Eldrazi Spawn Scion. We take those. I think I need it. Opponent has so much mana. But apparently the Osmore is stuck in hand. I think I awkwardly draw the Glarb. Like, I think I just need to draw that, even though it doesn't do me any good right now. We can now Surveil. Awkward. This is not very good here. I could cast this to get rid of a plant or Eldrazi Spawn. I think I'm just going to Surveil it away. Sure. Ping me. I think I still Surveil that away. Cool. Casting that off the top is not bad. So we'll pass turn here. Glarb hopefully holding the ground. This is counter target spell. It's expensive because I'm not targeting a creature spell here. So this is Glarb attempting to do Glarb things. So this ticks down. I'll Surveil things into graveyard. That goes into graveyard. I guess I can just take inefficient value off of that. Sure. So let's Fatal Push the Bowmasters out of play. We'll use... Joby, I don't think this works the way you thought it did. Yeah, this does not work the way you thought it did. Okay. So Far Away now goes away. Am I accepting just playing inefficient things that answer Eldrazi Spawn? I guess I just need to take everything out of play eventually. Oh, okay. Shoot the Sheriff is fine. An Avatar, so I can shoot you. Yeah. So things aren't perfect here. Like, we have real problems. My opponent can attempt to crash in with these. I could have cost... No, it wouldn't let me cast it fused. I didn't get that option. So let's Far. I'll take out the plant token. Take 1. 15. That's a 4-2. This impends. Cast this. It will get rid of the expensive thingy. Ooh, Force of Vigor. Do I care? Enchantment? Yes, I care. So I draw that. And I would love to draw this in a minute. I think I am... Oh, wait. Do you get to just attack immediately? Yeah, I think this is on the battlefield, so I think you get to attack immediately. Meaning that I hold the Glarb back. Okay. And then I just wait a turn so that I don't have to... Oh, right, this happens at end of turn. Alright, I missed 2 points of damage. Alright, so you're here, you're hanging out. Let's Surveil 2. I can play this Delta for free if I stack it like this. So draw Frog, play free Delta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1. We can fetch. Oh, I'm out of Surveil lands. Got it. Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. I'm an idiot. Needed to do that on tap. I don't have green. It's turn 9. I just kind of assumed that I would have green. Okay. That's on me. Pass turn, I guess. Fly or anything? I should get this card for one of my EDH decks. Oh, it's enters or attacks, so I should answer this now. Let's just Force of Vigor it. No, let's just shoot it. Let's just shoot it and accept the fact that I made a costly mistake. And then hopefully, like, Glarb plus Psychic Frog does some cool stuff. Punished. What is this? Enters or attacked, put a blight counter on it, then for each blight counter on it, each opponent loses 4 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. Okay. Let's Surveil. Get rid of Force of Vigor. Get rid of Bowmasters. New Psychic Frog. Yo, this card fucks. Let's dig for a removal spell. Those are not removal spells. That is also not a removal spell. That is not a removal spell. That is not a removal spell. One more look. New land? Okay. Kind of. No. Oh, that's 3. Okay, we can draw it. So let's fly. I don't think the cards in my graveyard matter. Let's discard this land. To draw this, Swamp, I've already played a land. I'll pass turn. I'll bounce the Rotten Mouth Viper. My opponent can replay it. Ugh. Thanks, I hate it. Yeah, not shocking in that breeding pool has cost me so much fucking life. Oof. I'll discard the Glarb. It doesn't look like my opponent has that much removal. And I, in theory, have a lot of removal. Hey, removal. Let's put that in the graveyard. That goes on top. Spell the Profane, this thingy. Yeah. Yeah, okay. See, this is now what I'm talking about. I'll just play that as a land. I don't think I need to answer the Insidious Roots anymore. So draw this. Flare of Malice. I'll not cast that. I think it's just better to play Psychic Frog. If we hit an emergency, I can sack a Psychic Frog to play a Flare of Malice. Yes. So if creature cards start leaving my opponent's graveyard, things start getting interesting. So upkeep, Flare of Malice. Take out one of my opponent's things. Yeah, that's fine. I am okay drawing that. And I think at this point, I'm turning the corner. Let's make one big one. So draw some cards. Get Fatal Push. Get that. Have Subtlety there too. Yes. So if my opponent never answers my creatures, we can win a game on turn 12. Let's try to win another one. I don't remember what it was, but my opponent also made some significant mistake, right? Like they could have sacked an Eldrazi spawn to make their Fatal Push actually kill Glarb. That was a pretty critical mistake. Underworld Cookbook. That's in theory fine. I am not gonna Surveil immediately. I think just setting up some of these lands so they don't damage me is more important. That's fine. It does some relevant things. I do have Psychic Frog. Just get a basic here. Respect my own life total a bit. And pass. Is that worth Glarb? Or do I just Boseiju it? Denying this mana this turn is pretty big. I think I'm going to take a chance here and hope that this 2 for 2 is worth it. I probably lose the game if my opponent Fatal Pushes this frog after I make this decision. Cookbook, sure. So there's the cookbook. Now my opponent can discard something, sack the 2 foods, nuke Psychic Frog, even with discarding 4 cards. I don't live through that. Life's bad. Cut down does not kill Asmore here. Let's take out this cookbook so that this can't be removal in the future. Just going to let my opponent Surveil. Speaking of, I think I will be doing the same. We've just got to find a source of card advantage or I'm going to die very quickly. I'm taking 5 damage per turn cycle. I'm at 10. Okay, nice. So we're Glarbin. To get deeper in my deck, I will play that. It means that I don't get to cut down Bowmasters immediately. That's, I guess, not that bad. So now we are hoping to dodge removal on Glarb. And if we do so, I can start doing some cool stuff. Okay. I mean, I will take this tiny bit of Glarb value and take out 1 power along the way. That's going to do it. I don't think I'm going to beat those Urza Saga tokens. Well, I don't think I'm playing more lands here. Okay, cool. I save cut down for Urza Saga Construct token, I guess. Yeah. I think Psychic Frog is currently on defensive duties. I can let my opponent make the next Construct token, commit their mana, and then cut down one of them. Yeah. It's definitely slightly awkward that I need to hold back this frog right now. Like, I need cards in hand for Frog. I really need mana for things like Subtlety. Spellbomb's a great redraw for my opponent that stops my ability to fly. Yep. Have we weathered the storm? Okay. Life's not good. Life's very much not good. I think I play a land. That way next turn I have Far Away available as a fuse spell. That can get rid of 2 1/1 creatures in theory. It's big. It's countered. But this is more of a delay the inevitable than anything else here. So that'll just put it on top of library. Alright, cool. Okay, that's an answer for the Mamba that's coming. So, bounce target creature, use target player. Yeah, go to combat. I want to save this to discard to the Mamba. I'll draw my card. Nice. Pass turn. Ooh, we get away with murder here. Nice. I'm gonna send in with both. See what happens. Bowmaster happens. Opponent pings my face. I'm just gonna let them block. No block. I see. So with that on the stack, then I will answer this. Draw my card. Slightly awkward here. Yep. Now I've blocked the Orc Army token and pass. Got cards to discard to the Mamba. Hopefully I don't time out. My deck does not close games quickly. All right. So discard a card. Now we need to answer this. Yeah. Bounce it out of the way. Combat. Guess I should have left Forest up. I'm playing fast and loose here. Draw 2 cards. Glarb. Glarb gets me an extra land drop and an answer to the Viper. Fantastic. And then we have, in theory, lethal damage. Well, we put a win on the board. We can say that much. Okay, so we have no source of card advantage here. This is an auto mulligan. This is fine. So I have a bunch of creatures here, so I'm probably not holding up counter magic at the beginning of this game. So we're just going to play this as a land and pass the turn. All right, we might be playing against a much more efficient version of what we are doing. All right, I'm going to try basics. It's a little sketch because I do need... Oh my god, I just didn't click on Psychic Frog. I'm upset. It's my fault, but I just fully fucking clicked on the wrong card. We'll call this removal bait. This is fatal push bait. I'm a genius. I meant to do it. Let the record show that this was just a plan so that both Glarb and Psychic Frog are free and alive. Non-token? Sacrifice non-token. Sure. Send it. 10,000 IQ. ThrabenU plays. Alright, Inquisition is fine. I think I'm just going to draw this card and smack my opponent with Glarb. I don't want to draw that card. Yeah, I don't want to draw that card. Let's put that into graveyard. Put this on top. Let's make that land drop. Go to Punchies. Punchy for 1. I might not be able to cast Flare of Malice because of the basic that I fetched earlier. Oh, that's fine. Is that it? Ooh, that's it. Actually, I will just draw that. That's another black land for Flare of Malice. I'll probably take an attack for 2 over surveilling this turn, unless it's like another very actively bad card like Force of Negation. Am I getting pushed? I am getting pushed. So we'll sewers. We're looking for threats here. That is not a threat, so that is going to go to graveyard. Again, my deck just does not function without a Glarb or Psychic Frog fueling me. Preordain is modern legal. 12? This probably represents a counterspell. Could represent Orcish Bowmasters. Force of Negation is back. Welcome, Force of Negation. You were specifically a card I called out that I didn't want to draw. Sure. So this is not going to answer some of the creatures that my opponent can play here. Like the Abhorrent Oculus, Murktide Regent type stuff. Ooh, don't mind that. I think I just hold it, though. I don't think I push the 1 extra point of damage here. I think it's too likely that my opponent has something like their own Orcish Bowmasters or a cantripping card. We'll just do the little love tap. I think I am okay firing off Bowmaster with Force of Negation backup right now. Just taking a counterspell out of hand. And then this frees up my mana for the next turn cycle. Oh, sure. So stack clears. I got 2 cards out of my opponent's hand. Edge Maze. No. Like, I know what I need if I'm going to stay competitive in this game. And it's Glarb or Psychic Frog. 9. So opponent's on 5 mana. We're starting to get to the point where we could see threat with Psychic Frog backup. Sorry, counterspell backup. That's not what I want to see. I'm going to play it because it represents my final Surveil land. 8. Fling to Dust. You've got it. That's objectively not a very powerful card, but in this situation where we're both kind of sputtering, I guess, where we're not operating very well, the Cling to Dust can be quite strong. It is fighting for fuel with like the Murktides and Oculuses of the world, but somehow my opponent still does not have any threats. So let's grab the final Surveil land. Junk Delta. All right. 10 more turns of this. So I will attempt to just counter that. Opponent could have another counter spell here. And they do. I'm going to Fatal Push the actual Bowmaster itself here. And then pass the turn. So something like an Oculus coming down is pretty bad. Frog is very good. I'm already playing around Spell Pierce. I think it's probably okay to just push Harbinger of the Seas. Well, I don't have Revolt right now, so that is killing Psychic Frog. Now I don't have access to blue, which is not great. I don't have access to black for Flare of Malice either. Am I dead to that? Feels kind of like I'm dead to that. Yeah, this is not good. Or excuse me, I do have access to blue. I don't have access to black. Used to being Blood Mooned. Will be 11. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I can play another one of these to play around double Spell Pierce. You may consider Toxic Deluge. I'll take 3. Yikes. This is turn 14, by the way. Opponent has more than enough mana at this stage. I'm at 5. Okay. This is Psychic Frog with counterspell backup around Spell Pierce. I think for tempo reasons, I have to counter that. I think I just need to get this in play. So, opponent does not have black mana. I'm going to start by blocking the token, I think. I don't think I want to unlock my opponent's mana right now. I think I'm willing to take 1 extra point of damage to do that. Am I attacking? I don't think so. If my opponent has an Orcish Bowmasters, I just die if I attack. Alright, so I will block here. I will discard some land so that I kill this. So my opponent's black mana is back online, which is not great. Yep. We were pretty much expecting that to happen. And Frog's fine. I have an answer for that. But I am going to need something else here. Fuck. That, though, is not fine. I can take out one of them, and then the other one kills me unless I top deck an answer to it, just deterministically, if they go in for it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take it out. Uh-oh. Okay, not counterspell. Black. That just raw deck thinning? Or it's Bowmasters. Alright, ping me, attack for 2. That is lethal. Well, we drug on the game. Is Leyline good? My opponent presumably has, like, Unearths. I think this deck is on, like, some amount of Unearth, Murktide nonsense. Let's look at a random list here. Alright. Yeah, and this keeps these from coming into play. Keeps Murktides from coming into play. Yeah, and there are Unearths, yeah. So I like Leyline. I like Shoot the Sheriff. This is probably fine. I think I get rid of Force of Negations, then some number of counterspells. This hand is probably good enough to keep, despite the fact that it doesn't have a Leyline. Just a pile of removal and Psychic Frog. I am good with that. We'll start with a land that always enters tapped. I do not want land 4 at this time. Alright, am I going to get Thought Seized? Negative. I am just going to offer up the Psychic Frog here to whatever first piece of interaction my opponent has. I'm not in any sort of position to protect it at this time, so... Ooh, no immediate Fatal Push. Doesn't mean my opponent does not have it, but it would be really cool if they did not have it. They like that card. Ooh, maybe. Combat. Send it. I don't think I'm putting any extra cards into it right now. Bowmasters. Not bad. Let's just make this land drop and pass the turn. Oh wow, we got lucky that, like, we played Psychic Frog and it lived to tell the tale. Now this is probably resolving. My opponent has 1 mana available. I'm fucking wrong. They kept their cards on top. Let's surveil. Ooh, nice. Happy to draw that. I'm just going to keep hitting for 1 and keep all of these cards in my hand. Flare of Malice. This is almost certainly a land drop. I think it can come into play tapped. 3 damage off this. That is resolving. Like, I knew efficient removal was eventually going to happen to that frog. Am I fine with this into counterspell? I think I am not fine with that. Let's just do this tapped. And pass. My opponent Bowmasters. Pings me. Then I will Bowmaster you while you can't counterspell me. And then I at least always get multiple bodies here. And then if my opponent tries to remove Bowmaster, I can junk it for Flare of Malice. Frog is fine. Spellbomb's fine. Now, do I just far away on my own turn? Far away. Sure. You may have your 1 point of damage with that. I'm just trying to maximize my own value here. Bounce you. You sacrifice. Seems good. There's my 2 for 1. Tapped Watery Grave. Combat. Send in. 12. Fuck. Wait, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Flare of Malice. We'll do it on their turn so that a Force of Negation can't counter it. Not really happy with the bonus lands here. Opponent's at 11. I think I'll hold Breeding Pool for a little while. Oh no. Now I don't have a reason to hold that. If you have the if you have the Surgical Extraction, is it correct to do that like in my draw step or something instead? Unsure. Alright, we're chilling. So we'll just play that tapped. Send in with the Orc. Sure. Feels like slightly weird spellbomb timing to me. Probably doesn't matter though. 5th land drop. We're chilling. I don't mind that. Tap for 1. One's at 7. I'm gonna go ahead and play this Boseiju because now there's some turn cycles where I might actually need 8 mana to hardcast Flare of Malice with out of air backup. Frog. Dead frog. Yep. Dead frog. There we go. Nice. This time I will do this in combat. This is, I think, a moment where the individual points of damage matter. We'll counter that. This resolves, pings my opponent down to 5. Combat damage down to 3. Could be a turn where my opponent does something big and impressive. Toxic Deluge could kill both of these. For example, Toxic Deluge. Or X equals 1? Oh, okay. No, that's fine. Opponent's at 2. Subtlety's great. The Subtlety can ambush one of these in combat and then swing for lethal. Feels like Murktide is... Attempt to counter. Counter spell happens. My opponent has no cards left. This hits the big thing, right? Yeah, this hits the big thing. So I answer Murktide, leave my opponent with 2 power in play. We are both hellbent. Now, unfortunately, I do have 4 copies of Leyline of the Void in my deck that I will probably draw at some point. So, like, I do have some dead draws here. We're going to hold that as a bluff. I'm taking 2. I'm at 10. That's great. I'll cast that in my opponent's upkeep. That, in theory, clears the board. Bounce. You sacrifice. This is done around a Spell Pierce. Nice. Oh, let's top deck well, please. Nope. That's not good. That's not good. Alright, opponent is just converting into damage here. Oh, fuck. Fuck. Alright. I am dead on board. I need to answer these creatures. Alright, well. Green, blue, black. Bruh. This does not fly. I am dead in the air. Damn. We lost. We put up a struggle. Okay. Hands a keep. I have turn 2 Psychic Frog with maybe Force of Negation backup depending on when my opponent uses a removal spell. Flooded Strand, sure. I'm just gonna shock this in. This can be a Surveil land later. We're frogging. Frog's in play. And let's see if we eat some immediate removal spell. We don't. I don't know what blue-green is in this format. Maybe an Up the Beanstalk control deck list? Voice of Resurgence. It's been a hot minute. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, and when it dies, make an elemental with power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. Okay, got it. My Force of Negations got weird. I'm probably just discarding them to Psychic Frog, honestly. Alright, no blocks. I think I am okay discarding these. I think they're probably bad if my opponent is doing some creature-based nonsense over there. I'll draw a card. We'll get a basic island with this, and then play Glarb. Watery Grave. I don't really want to draw more lands, but I also just want to attack for 2. I've got at least a Lava Axe worth of damage in play already. Okay. Understood. Fatal Push. I'm going to draw that. Yeah, I think I'm just sending in with both of my creatures. Send it. You may block if you would like. I think I'm just good with that trade. Because that trades for both of those. I'm going to draw Fatal Push with Psychic Frog. Then I think I just kill everybody. So let's just bounce one of those to hand. Fetch. Don't need to take extra damage here. Take out the token. And we have Flare of Malice for the next creature that my opponent plays. And if it seems like I don't need Watery Grave, I can convert that into damage this turn. 4th land drop. I have no idea what to expect over there. Opponent's surveilling. They like their card. Renegade Rallier, sure. They get back Voice of Resurgence. Alright, that's cool. Okay. So we'll take out the Rallier. I guess I can do this after initial combat. Let's take some things out of Graveyard to fly. Yeah, I should have done this post-combat. Send in. I think I'm okay discarding this land. Psychic Frog is, in theory, lethal next turn. And we can look for extra removal. Don't want that. Eternal Witness. Okay, so I get my opponent's deck now. It's just like Bant, Graveyard, Recursion, Value nonsense. So what do you have to kill my Psychic Frog? Because otherwise I just fly in and have lethal. This is fine. I go to 14. I now have 2 counterspells. Yeah. I guess I only have 1 counterspell. Right, because I need to discard one of these so that Psychic Frog is lethal. Alright, here we go. Ice Fang Coatl. I will counter target spell. So if my opponent plays that on their own turn, I die. Or sorry, well, I don't die. They don't die, more accurately. They get another turn of staying alive. I guess they could have something like a Solitude here. That would be a pretty big blowout. Oh, also, I'm an idiot. My opponent fetched, so I did not need to dump 1 more card into Psychic Frog there. Strict misplay. Yeah. Keep 1. Maybe keep 1 more out of air. My opponent's deck looks to be heavily creature-based. I don't really love how I line up versus Voice of Resurgence. Makes all my pile of counterspells and instant speed removal very awkward. Alright. What are we doing here? Psychic Frog. I'm in. Do I play my land untapped on turn 1 at the cost of 3 life to potentially Fatal Push a turn 1 creature from my opponent? This is where I don't have format knowledge to know. Oh no, my opponent's on the play. Never mind. Well, I guess it's the same question still, right? Whether or not it's Voice of Resurgence specifically matters a lot. I think I'm just going to get this land out of the way. No. I could subtlety a creature if it is a particularly nasty one. It is Voice of Resurgence. This is just a spell, so if I don't use the subtlety now, it is just much, much, much worse. I think I am okay with this as a tempo play, and we hope that my frog lives and gets to do frog bullshit. That results in a win. They put it on the bottom. So, let's frog and see if my opponent can answer it. Hide away. When it leaves the battlefield, put the exiled card into hand. Sure. Ooh, and it enters tapped. I get a decent amount of time to answer that one. Like, I can draw a card with... Damn it, Leyline. Am I fine just converting that into a card? I think I'm fine converting that into a card. Like, casting a Leyline is a really bad tempo hit. I think we'll just do one counter here. Another Fell the Profane. That's fine. I'll pass turn with Fatal Push and Surveil Land available. Yeah, no, I'll take that hit. That's fine. I'm currently winning the race, and we're chilling. I will grab my green Surveil Land here. No, fuck, I have green in my hand. I'm an idiot. Now I have to keep this polluted delta that I don't want, so that I have black. Or we can find black later. I'm not gonna risk that. I'm an idiot, though. Alright. Send in. That's fine, I'll draw a card here. 15. Glarb. Yeah, okay. We'll Glarb it up. We meet again, Leyline of the Void. No play with mana. Wow. Beginning of your end step. If you control a creature, look at the top 7, then you can sacrifice a creature. Okay, cool, got it. So trigger on the stack, I will Fatal Push that. This has an intervening if clause. This also gives me a shuffle here. So fetch. Can this be a basic? Can probably be a basic. So this puts whatever this card is into my opponent's hand, assuming it resolves. Okay, cool. I do not want to draw Polluted Delta. However, I would like to attack my opponent for 5-ish points of damage. So overall, I'm going to say that this is fine. So send it. And I think it's clear that my opponent does not have removal at this stage. So we're going for blood. Well, fuck me, I guess. I think game 1 Sanctifier Invec. Yikes. So the Solitude was the card that was under the Hideaway creature. Okay. I lose a couple extra lands that I don't really need. As long as I don't lose Glarb too, this is not the end of the world. I Flare of Malice it. Damn. So I now don't want to draw this card. Alright. So we're just going to take that card off the top of my deck. And a tap Temple Garden. Well, we drew it anyway. A Voice of Resurgence that stops me from stopping Birthing Ritual would be really annoying. Okay. Those in multiples is pretty cute. You just get, like, bigger and bigger. I can Boseiju one of them. So you may put a creature with mana value X or less, where X is 1 bigger than it. Sure. At this point, I don't think giving them extra mana matters, whereas eliminating these Birthing Rituals does give them a Surveil, though. Okay. This is my last Surveil available. Well, opponent doesn't have a lot going on, so I guess that's good for me. However, I don't have that many threats in my deck. I'm going to take that as a threat. I don't think I get to be picky here. And I guess, in theory, sometimes that can kill some smaller creatures that my opponent plays. Like, they've got Icefang Coatl in their deck, for example. Alright, we're getting movement. 6 mana? Okay. So they can get back Watcher for tomorrow. Are you an X1? So I just kill that trigger on the stack then. They never get that card. So I'll ping that. And now this trigger does nothing. And they can, I guess, exile a card. So this is slightly awkward here. I don't think I can let my opponent start Birthing Ritual. So I think I Flare of Malice, sacrificing Orcish Bowmasters to get rid of Renegade Rallier. I guess I should do that with the Birthing Ritual trigger on the stack, so that another sorcery speed creature can't be played out. Alright, let's see if we outvalue our opponent here. 11. Sure. The kind of same thing as before. Trigger on the stack. We will remove that creature. And we just have to attempt to stop this chain from happening. I really wish that I just had Murktide Regents to end the game here. Okay. Oops, all removal. Okay, we have dodged a critter. Still all removal. Alright. I am playing this as a land. I'm even going to shock it. I don't think my life total matters. And just having the flexibility of removing multiple creatures in the same turn cycle if my opponent has been saving up might matter. Alright, I go again. Does this matter? I think it's scary to pseudo tap out for this. I can still remove a creature, but it really just feels like my opponent is trying to save up multiple creatures and deploy them between like my end step and their turn to get Birthing Ritual triggers. And I think if I tap out for Leyline, I put myself in a bad spot. 5 mana, not white for Solitude with Flash. There we go. Yes. We will use a 4 mana removal spell on that immediately. And hope that Ephemerate isn't a thing. Ephemerate is a thing, so I have to use another removal spell here. But my opponent is now free to do something gross on their turn. Yep. So now my opponent is going to get a shit ton of value. The floodgates just broke. Okay, my opponent does have counterspells. So now Birthing Ritual happens. Opponent digs 7 deep, finds Renegade Rallier, which gets back a Watcher for Tomorrow. And now this is just so much value. At this point, does it say dies? No, it's leaves of the battlefield. At this point, I don't think I'm keeping up with the value train. Like, I can remove 1 creature. I could bounce a 2nd creature while drawing my opponent a card. I think we are going in on Psychic Frog and trying to kill my opponent in a couple of combat steps. Well, I'm in. I guess I should technically block before doing this. Wow. Okay. So then I have to attempt to kill that. Yeah. Now this can go and re-return the Watcher for Tomorrow or Coiling Oracle. Yeah, the dam broke on this one. Now Birthing Ritual happens. Watcher for Tomorrow gets sacked. Alright, not Death Touchy yet, but this is bad. So let's away, target you, 1, 2, 3, see what you sacrifice. Cut down does not kill Restoration Angel. Cut down kills this. I guess I cut it down right now. That way it's not triggering Revolt on my opponent's turn. More Ice Fang. And then a Flare of Denial. Okay. I have officially drawn through half of my deck. My opponent's slightly more than that. Okay. Eternal Witness finds some removal spell that removes my Psychic Frog. I'm gonna tap out. Oh no. We have to play another game. Do I want Force of Vigor to get rid of Birthing Ritual? Probably as good as these. I don't know that I max out on these. I don't need that many of them. This is a bunch of removal. I probably can't throw it away. We will just play a land and pass. Land drop. And we'll surveil. Getting the sewers. Opponent has a response apparently. Seems weird to do that in response to mine. 4th land drop. No thank you. Looking for frogs and glarbs, glubs, whatever he's called. The opponent's just chilling. It is correct to not play Orcish Bowmasters here, I believe. That said, I'm going to play Orcish Bowmasters for my own personal sanity. I think I want more blue-black. I think this is a land. Yeah, I am 100% supposed to hold this card, but I am just going to put pressure on my opponent's life total. Yeah, and this is why it's correct to hold it. Like, now I need to use a removal spell on it. Wait. Oh, my opponent's just going to flare it. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that expenditure. Yes. And yes. 3rd land drop. I have removal forever. My efficiency isn't the best. That hitting a land drop's so good for my opponent. We're doing more. What is the follow-up? Hideaway Duder? Fuck. Yep. How bad? The worst. So this gets back Ice Fang Coatl, Human Warrior. Okay, so this is fine. So Fatal Push, Ice Fang Coatl, shoot the Sheriff, Renegade Rallier. Board's clear at least. I can now get in with Psychic Frog, draw a card, and try to keep up with Birthing Ritual's card advantage. This is not getting me another spell this turn cycle, so I'll pass. And Birthing Ritual is just going to do gross things. Now it is just, what order of magnitude bad is this? Fuck, these Renegade Ralliers. Yeah. And then Coiling Oracle triggers. Binding Solitude. Okay. Combat. Attacks. Fly. See if my opponent does anything here. Wow, pitching Ephemerate. Ephemerate seems batshit insane here to me. Am I hard casting this or pitch casting this? I think pitch casting this. I don't think I can spare them mana. Okay. I'm gonna tap out. I'm done. Game's not over, but I'm done. And this is not something that I normally do. But I am exhausted. Every round with this deck is just like 15 to 20 turn games where I don't have enough win conditions. And I think the deck has some fundamental problems. So instead of playing out the last round, I'm going to do sort of a thorough debrief on this deck idea. All right. So, problems with the deck. Number one, and I'm glad I took out a bunch of them. The fuse spells don't actually work with Glarb. So that was a deck construction problem. The deck had 2 or 3 other fuse spells in them, so I'm glad I incidentally took those out. Number 2, other than Bowmasters, we don't really have something that we would like to sack with Flare of Malice, so this ends up being very inefficient removal, which I guess is kind of my problem with trying to make Glarb work. We are trying to play things that make Glarb work instead of playing good cards and getting incidental Glarb value from time to time. I think if you want to make Glarb work, you have to stop playing cards that you wouldn't normally play in this format. Like, I would not, in most cases, be willing to play Flare of Malice in a deck that can't consistently cast it for free and want to cast it for free. You know, if you're using this to sack a Stitcher Supplier or something like that, I think that's perfectly reasonable. But, like, Counterspell is a legal card in the format. So messing around with Out of Air just to enable Glarb means that anytime you don't have Glarb, this is just worse than a card that your opponents who are maybe playing tier 1 decks are actually playing. I don't think Force of Negation is very good in this deck. Doesn't work with Glarb, doesn't protect Psychic Frog. I don't think Flare of Denial is good in this deck. Doesn't work with Glarb, probably doesn't protect Psychic Frog, like you can't cast this one for free like our opponent could very easily in the last round. So I think the deck building just doesn't work out here. I think if you want to build around Glarb, I would straight up go to the EDH decks and see what they're doing. Things that come to mind for me are some sort of like land-heavy based strategy where playing the lands is relevant from the top of deck because you have landfall creatures or something like that. Like there's the 1-mana black creature with Offspring that drains your opponent when you play lands. If Glarb becomes a land machine, then there's some real synergy there. If dumping cards into your graveyard matters, you can use this as Murktide Regent fuel. The deck just needs more than 8 threats. Like, I could not close games. There were so many times where we just drug the game on to the late game, and we just were sitting there drawing for threats. Alternatively, you could play, like, Up the Beanstalk, Glarb, and then you have more sources of card advantage, so you can play, like, Psychic Frog, Up the Beanstalk, Glarb, and then some more expensive things. Glarb can help feed Murderous Cut style cards instead, and that could be yet another way to take this. So this was much better than the initial Frog decks that were submitted. But Joby, I think you've still got a little bit of work ahead of you to turn this into something competitive. And theory crafting is often not going to be enough to get an idea to viable status. Like you've got to get in there, you've got to put in the reps with these brews if you want to make them work. And immediately upon starting a league, like I saw that Far Away does not work like you thought it did. And so like a single league of playtesting fixes that problem. And if your experience is anything like mine here, you are not going to set yourself up for a good night if you have to play rounds that are this long and this grindy, and you're always kind of trying to fight out from behind. So yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm going to go get some food, then I have a tutoring session to do. So folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Glarb's a reasonable card. If you need some glarbs, toamagic.com, promo code ThrabenU, let them know that I sent you. All right. See ya.